In this episode of reDefine, we join photographer and controversial media personality Scott Bourne in his Las Vegas studio. We discuss why Scott loves photographing birds specifically and why he believes good media should cause viewers to react. Positively or negatively, they should react. And listen in as he shares some no-nonsense advice for anyone looking to excel in the creative arts.
Special thanks to our sponsors Adorama, the photography people, and T1 Line, the voice and data solution experts.
Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Happy to be here.
I would love for you to summarize what it is that you do. I know you're involved in a lot of different organizations, activities, broadcast, media. What do you do?
I'm a storyteller.
You're a storyteller.
That's the way I see my job. My job is to use whatever tools are available to me, whether they be still cameras or video or audio or whatever, to tell stories, to sort of convey a message that's deeper than one can see at a first glance.
What kind of stories do you like to tell?
I like to tell, I look at the subjects that I work with are primarily wildlife. Mm-hmm. I like to tell their stories. I like for people to see them in a vein that they wouldn't in normal life. For instance, I photograph a lot of birds.
You're so into birds.
I'm into birds. I can't help it.
Why are you so into birds?
A long story short is I started photographing them years ago because somebody said they were the hardest thing in the world to photograph.
Right.
And I thought, well, why not start with the hardest thing?
Okay,
it makes everything else easy.
Sense.
So you get a little bird about this big flying 30 miles an hour, and that's what most people see of a bird.
Yeah.
So my job is to capture the birds in a moment where you can study every feather. You can study all the little lines on their beak. You can look at their eyes and see the depth of the iris in the eye, just like in a human. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'll be just a skosh less willing to throw them away. The way we treat wildlife, I think, is indicative of how we are as a species towards one another.
Because I'm really interested in this public persona, and I get that. I know that a lot of people are like that. You have the public persona, and then you have the kind of everyday who you feel like you can more comfortably be because that's who you are. What, for you personally, do you think are the differences?
Well, everything, we use a thing called archetyping. Mm-hmm. I was taught a thing called archetyping way back in the 70s when I first got on the radio.
Okay.
I used to be a disc jockey at my high school and college radio station, and then worked for a local rock and roll station in Indianapolis. We use a thing called archetyping. You pick a character, something that there is a small part of you that connects to that, mm-hmm. and then you blow it up real big. So it's 10% you and 90% balderdash.
So part of that is for show, part of that is purposely to annoy people, to get them to talk and come back and watch and say, it drives me crazy, what time's it on next?
Exactly. That's what good media does. Good media causes people to react. Okay. Now, and I'm just telling the truth here, and I'm saying I'm doing what the magicians usually won't do. I'm showing you how the trick works.
Right. That's very interesting to me. So why is that different from you, Scott?
Well, because I'm 10% of that, not 100% of that. I wouldn't.
What's the other 90%?
It's media creation. It's acting.
No, the other 90% of you.
Oh, I'm actually a warm and sensitive guy.
You are, actually.
You know that.
I do know that.
Don't tell them.
Well, we are filming.
Oops. I consider myself to be a very caring person. I do everything that I do in my personal life, and the reason I've made the career choice of it, because I want to help people. Mm-hmm. I do this podcast called Photo Focus, and I write.
Heard of it?
And I write about photography, and have written about photography on the web every single day since November 2nd, 1998, without missing. I do that because I want to help people.
Yeah. That's
the real me. I want to help people.
And you put out a ton of content.
I do, and it's hard work. And in reward for that, I get attacked, and minefields I have to walk through. But at the end of the day, I get a lot of email from people I did help.
Yes.
And that's what I do.
And crying letters from people who receive cameras too. You just changed my life. I have a career now.
I give away a lot of cameras, and people have literally sent me tapes and called me and cried and said this changed my life. And it's really interesting to see how little it takes to change somebody's life for good. A lot of times, because I'm a little bit successful, someone who's just starting, if I just put my hand on their shoulder and say, I think you can do it, that's all they need. Yeah. Do
any of the comments, given how much you do for producing content and talking to people and advising them and just putting out a lot, do any of those comments ever just flat out hurt your feelings?
No.
Never?
No. I'm long past that.
Never.
I mean, I'm not saying it never has in the past.
Yeah.
As of today, not at all. Now, you know, you go to Bloomingdale's and you see a red shirt and a blue shirt. And you buy the red shirt. The blue shirt doesn't go, oh, why did you pick me? I mean, you know, it's a big world. If you don't like what I do, move on.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. If you like what I do, come hang out.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm still going to do what I do.
Yeah.
That isn't going to change.
Right.
You can be part of it.
Yeah.
You can ignore it. You can ridicule it. You can hate it. You can love it. None of that affects me doing what I do. I'm going to do what I want to do.
What are 3 pieces of advice that you would offer anybody in relation to how to work smarter in terms of a career perspective, how to run a business more intelligently, and I know those are 2 different things, and just any general hard-won wisdom that you would offer?
Well, the number 1 piece of advice I give to everybody along these lines is to figure out exactly what you want to do and do that.
Figure out exactly what you want to do. And that sounds so easy, and
It
yet
is not easy for most people,
Yeah.
because what they'll do is they'll start to think about what they think they can do.
Right.
That's not what I'm
can I do?
asking. That's
Right.
not what I'm asking.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? So you run into a guy who's a lawyer, works for the Justice Department, you know, graduated top of his class at Harvard Law, but doesn't like his job. He wants to be a cake maker. All his life, he's dreamt about being a cake maker because he thinks there's art in the cakes. He knows the cakes make people happy. The minute they bite into them, they smile. He thinks that that's the best thing in the world. But he's a lawyer because he thinks that's what he can do to make a living.
Right.
But what he wants to do is be a cake maker. My argument is that guy's life is an utter waste of time. Second piece of advice is don't worry about new, worry about you.
So worry about new, worry about you. Go. What does that mean?
So all over the internet, the kid's like, well, there's nothing new about that. As if it has to be new to be cool.
Huh.
You know, it's like, if it's been done before, I'm not interested. Well, that's...
That's the kid's voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like ridiculous to me. It shouldn't be about whether or not this place has never been photographed or this photographic style has never
Do you
been.
feel people are seeking so hard to find something brand new, original,
That
never
there's
seen
no
before?
you in there.
That there's no... Okay. Interesting.
Show me you.
Yeah.
Don't show me new.
Yeah.
I want to know what's your heart.
Right.
What is it that you want to make that's special, that's you, that really tells...
Because that will be new.
That will be new, because it's you. Because
Yeah.
we can both stand at Delicate Arch, at Arches National Park. We will make different photographs.
Yes.
Because we will see different things.
That is so... I heard that once at the beginning of my career, and I thought, I guess if you turn it this way versus...
No.
And I've come to realize, because I've gone out and people have second shot with me, or I've had a workshop where there's 15 of us out there, and I'm stunned. I'm like, we're all seeing and feeling and capturing such different things.
Those 2 things are the touchstone to the last thing, which is don't become a commodity.
Don't become a commodity.
Don't let yourself become a commodity. Commoditization leads to mediocrity and the destruction of everything beautiful.
How would you define somebody who's become a commodity?
Someone who allows their work to be treated as if anyone else doing it can do it the same. And this goes back to the you factor. So it's like, you see, we have to use photographs as an example when you're talking to me because I'm a photographer. So I see people that sell prints. They go, this is what an 8x10 cost. I said, so what's an 11x14 cost? Well, it costs this much more. So basically what you're selling is square inches.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've been to my lawyer and he doesn't go, okay, Scott, your will is 4 pages, 8x10 inches, so that's 160 inches. I'm going to charge you $10 an inch, so you owe me $1,600.
So you're saying it's the core of the image regardless of...
I'm saying that it's the you that had the passion to make the image, it's the way you interpreted it, it's the way you printed it, it's the way you presented it. This can become a commodity if you're going to compete with people on a, well, I sell 8x10s for $3.08,
Right.
and the guy goes, well, I sell mine for $3.05. What you're implying here to the end user, the person purchasing the pictures, there's no difference.
Right.
It's just, well, 8x10s are this much here and this much here and this much here. I'm going to buy the cheapest one. One of my strengths in business has been, whatever my competitors were doing, I did nothing like that. So they all sold packages. I didn't.
Right.
So when the people come to my studio and go, well, we went to his place and this was what his packages cost, and what do your packages cost? I'm like, Mrs. Jones, I don't have any packages. What do you mean?
You're looking at the package. Did you do that?
Actually, never did.
Oh.
I said, why would I put together something that you may or may not want and put a price on it and force you to buy it?
Right.
You just tell me what you want, and no one's ever left here saying they can't afford me. Just tell me what you want, and we'll put it together. And that made it impossible to be compared on an apples to apples basis, which got me all the business because I wasn't being judged as a commodity. So don't allow yourself to become a commodity. If people don't respect you, what you do, your heart, move on. It is really a big world.
We had so much more to talk about. We finally finished up somewhere around lunch. But thank you, Scott, so much for joining us for reDefine. Tune in next time when we sit down with one of the top 100 comedians of all time, Paula Poundstone. Until then, though, go ahead and take your DSLR to random and fun places with this totally bendable, crunchable, and packable Joby GorillaPod SLR Zoom. The newest edition of these crazy moldable critters can easily handle DSLR cameras with heavy lenses. Attach your favorite light tripod head for more angles and options, too. You can find the GorillaPod on Adorama.com.
Special thanks to our sponsors Adorama, the photography people, and T1 Line, the voice and data solution experts.